What if everything we've been taught about happiness is wrong? What if fulfillment isn't found in more, but in less? In a world obsessed with more, two cultures have mastered the art of less: Japan and Scandinavia. Two regions separated by geography, yet united by a shared philosophy of simplicity. But what makes their minimalism unique? And more importantly, what can we learn from their approach to living with purpose? Let's explore the minimalist principles of Japan and Scandinavia and how they shape a life of balance, beauty, and meaning. Japanese minimalism isn't just about reducing material possessions. It's a way of seeing the world, shaped by centuries of philosophy, aesthetics, and spiritual traditions. At its core is the belief that true beauty is found in imperfection, transience, and simplicity. One of the most defining concepts is Wabi-Sabi, a worldview that appreciates the beauty in imperfection and impermanence. Unlike Western ideals that often seek flawlessness, Wabi-Sabi teaches us to embrace the natural wear and tear of life. Think about something in your home that has aged over time. Maybe a favorite book with worn pages or a wooden table marked by years of memories. What if, instead of seeing imperfection, you saw beauty? Another essential idea is Shibui, which refers to an understated elegance that grows richer over time. It's the quiet charm of a handcrafted ceramic cup, the depth found in a simple ink painting, or the refined beauty of a traditional Japanese home. Shibui encourages us to seek subtlety, to find richness in restraint, and to understand that the most profound beauty often goes unnoticed at first glance. Then there's Iki, a philosophy that blends sophistication with effortlessness. It's not about extravagance, but about an unspoken charm that feels natural rather than forced. Someone who embodies Iki carries themselves with quiet confidence, never seeking attention, yet always leaving an impression. Finally, there's Danshari, the practice of decluttering not just physical spaces, but also the mind. It's about removing what no longer serves us so that we can focus on what truly matters. This principle goes beyond minimalism as a design choice. It's a mindset shift, a conscious decision to live with only what brings value, clarity, and peace. Together, these Japanese philosophies offer a way of living that values simplicity over excess, depth over distraction, and presence over accumulation. By embracing them, we open ourselves to a life that is lighter, freer, and more intentional. But Japan isn't the only culture that has mastered the art of simplicity. On the other side of the world, Scandinavia follows a different path to the same destination. Let's explore. On the other side of the world, Scandinavian minimalism follows a different yet equally powerful principle: Lagom, a Swedish word that means just the right amount. Not too much, not too little. Nordic minimalism is not just about aesthetics, it is a way of life shaped by the land itself. The vast, untamed landscapes of Scandinavia, the long winters, and the deep connection to nature have shaped a culture that values balance, simplicity, and intentionality. For centuries, people in the north have lived with the philosophy of just enough. Historically, survival depended on it. Viking craftsmanship emphasized function over excess, tools were made to last, homes were built for warmth and efficiency. This necessity evolved into a refined way of living that we now recognize as Nordic minimalism. Lagom is about finding harmony in all aspects of life, from how we design our homes to how we work, eat, and rest. It's a belief that true happiness is not in overindulgence, but in moderation. It guides everything from personal possessions to work-life balance, reminding us that enough is in fact enough. But minimalism in Scandinavia is not cold or sterile. This is where Hygge comes in, a Danish concept that celebrates coziness, warmth, and the simple joys of life. A quiet evening with a book, a candlelit dinner, or a soft knit sweater on a cold morning. While Lagom is about balance, Hygge is about atmosphere, making everyday moments special through comfort and presence. Unlike some forms of minimalism that focus purely on decluttering, Nordic minimalism embraces warmth and connection. It is not about rejecting comfort, but refining it, choosing quality over quantity, substance over excess, and depth over distraction. Though they have different expressions, both Japanese and Scandinavian minimalism share a core truth. Less is not emptiness, it is intentionality. Minimalism is often misunderstood as simply getting rid of things. But in both Japan and Scandinavia, minimalism is not about having nothing, it is about having with purpose. Every object, every space, and every choice serves a role in creating a life of balance and fulfillment. In both cultures, craftsmanship is sacred. Objects are not disposable, they are meant to last. A single handcrafted ceramic bowl can hold more value than a cabinet full of mass-produced plates. The Japanese philosophy of monodzukuri, the art of making things with dedication, emphasizes quality and skill over mass production. Similarly, Nordic design is rooted in functionality and longevity. This principle teaches us to choose fewer, better things, appreciating what we own rather than constantly chasing more. In many cultures, an empty space feels incomplete, but in Japanese and Scandinavian minimalism, space is an essential part of the design. What is left out is just as important as what is included. The Japanese concept of ema refers to the use of negative space, not just in design, but in life. It is the quiet pause between notes in music, the white space in a painting, the silence in a conversation. It reminds us that not everything needs to be filled. Sometimes, emptiness brings clarity. Likewise, Scandinavian interiors embrace airiness and openness, using light and space to create a sense of calm. This principle can be applied to how we arrange our homes, our schedules, and even our thoughts. When we remove the unnecessary, we create room for what truly matters. Minimalism is not a passing trend, it is a philosophy deeply woven into daily life. It is about more than just aesthetics. It is about being present, intentional, and mindful. Japanese and Scandinavian cultures embrace routines that emphasize slowness and purpose. From the art of tea making in Japan to the cozy ritual of Hygge in Denmark, both traditions teach us to slow down and find joy in simplicity. Minimalism is not about restriction, it is about freedom. Freedom from clutter, from stress, from the endless cycle of consumption. It is about curating a life where every element, whether an object, a relationship, or a daily habit, adds real value. When we stop trying to fill every corner of our lives with more, we create space for clarity, for meaning, for life itself. Minimalism is not about deprivation, it is about living with meaning. But how can we take these timeless principles from Japan and Scandinavia and apply them to our own lives? Adopting minimalism doesn't mean following strict rules or throwing everything away. It is about curating your life with intention, choosing what adds value and letting go of what does not. 1. Embrace imperfection. In a world that constantly chases perfection, Japan teaches us to find beauty in imperfection. The philosophy of Wabi-Sabi reminds us that life is ever-changing and that flaws are not something to hide but to embrace. Instead of obsessing over perfect homes, flawless appearances, or an ideal future, we can find contentment in the present moment, appreciating things as they are. How to apply it? Let go of the need for perfection. Whether it's an old wooden table, a handwritten note, or even your own journey, see the beauty in the process rather than chasing an impossible ideal. 2. Find balance. In Scandinavia, the idea of just the right amount is at the heart of a balanced life. The Swedish concept of Lagom teaches us that happiness comes not from extremes, but from moderation. This applies to everything: work, food, possessions, and even social life. Too much of anything, whether material excess or overwork, leads to stress. Too little, and we feel unfulfilled. The key is to find harmony. How to apply it? Avoid overconsumption and burnout. Design a daily routine that balances productive activity with rest, social interactions with solitude, and activity with stillness. 3. Prioritize quality over quantity. In both Japan and Scandinavia, less is not about scarcity, it is about refinement. Whether in fashion, home design, or even friendships, choosing fewer, better things leads to a richer life. Instead of chasing the latest trends or accumulating more, focus on what is truly timeless and meaningful. How to apply it? Invest in high-quality, long-lasting items instead of cheap, disposable ones. This doesn't mean spending more, it means choosing wisely. Buy things that serve a real purpose, bring you joy, and last for years. 4. Create cozy, intentional spaces. Minimalism doesn't have to feel cold or empty. In Scandinavia, simplicity and warmth go hand in hand. The Danish idea of Hygge reminds us that a simple home should also be a comforting home. Minimalism is not about stripping away everything. It is about curating an environment that nurtures well-being. How to apply it? Make your space a sanctuary. Choose soft lighting, natural materials, and comfortable textures. Keep only what makes you feel at ease and create moments of warmth, whether it's enjoying a cup of tea, lighting a candle, or spending quality time with loved ones. 5. Declutter your mind. Minimalism is not just about physical space, it is about mental space. The Japanese practice of Danshari goes beyond tidying up. It is about clearing mental clutter as well. Letting go of unnecessary possessions is just the first step. The true transformation happens when we also release negative thoughts, toxic habits, and distractions that do not serve us. How to apply it? Practice mindfulness. Unplug from constant digital noise, set boundaries, and create quiet moments in your day. Simplify your schedule, focus on what truly matters, and learn to say no to what doesn't align with your values. Japan and Scandinavia teach us that minimalism is not about living with less, it is about making room for more. More meaning, more presence, more life. When we remove the unnecessary, we create space for beauty, for purpose, for peace. In a world that constantly tells us we need more possessions, more success, more distractions, Japan and Scandinavia offer us a different path. A path where less is not emptiness, but clarity. Where simplicity is not restriction, but freedom. Minimalism is not a trend. It is a way of life. A return to what truly matters. When we strip away the excess, what do we find? We find space. Space for beauty, for presence, for connection. Minimalism is not about deprivation. It is about making room for what is essential. It is not about owning nothing. It is about owning with intention. In many cultures, silence is seen as a void, something to be filled. But in Japan and Scandinavia, silence is sacred. A pause is not an absence, it is a presence. A moment of stillness is not wasted. It is a moment of awareness. True fulfillment does not come from adding more to our lives, but from removing what weighs us down. To declutter not only our homes, but also our minds, to let go of the unnecessary so we can fully embrace the essential. In both Japan and Scandinavia, objects are not disposable. They are made with care, chosen with purpose, and appreciated over time. What we own should not just take up space, it should hold meaning. This is the wisdom of minimalism: to own little, but cherish deeply. To seek not more, but enough. To live not in excess, but in balance. Minimalism is not just about what we remove, it is about what we create in its place. When we stop chasing, we start living. When we stop accumulating, we start experiencing. When we stop filling every space, we finally create room to breathe. What remains when we let go of what we do not need? That is where life truly begins. Look around your home. Is there something you can let go of today to create more space for what truly matters?